So I want you to think about something with me for just a minute. What role do friends play in your life? What role do friends play in your life? You know, some people have a lot of friends, some have a few. Some see their friends and keep in touch with their friends multiple times a day. Some maybe not so much. A lot of different ways we have friends. So what role do friends have in your life? How deep do those friendships go? Do you have friendships with people who know everything about you, who you tell anything to? Or are your friends mostly sort of less deep? I don't want to say shallow, that sounds demeaning, but friends are different. We have different friendships. No one here has shallow friendships, I'm sure, right? So here's the other one. If someone were to ask your friends, what kind of friend would they say you are? If someone were to ask your friends, what kind of friend would your friends say you are? So I want you to think about that. I want us to think about this because this gospel reading invites us to. So we're in the season of Easter. We're getting ready to celebrate the Feast of the Ascension on Thursday. We have service at noon, don't forget. It's Ascension Day, one of the principal feasts. And as we do, we move from hearing the stories of Jesus' resurrection appearances to looking back in the light of the resurrection at some of the things he said before his death. So this gospel reading today comes from the Last Supper. Jesus is with the disciples right before his passion and his death. And he's kind of laying it all out for them. And right in the middle of that, he says to his disciples, then, I no longer call you servants, but I call you friends. And we need to think about what that means because we are disciples of Jesus as well. That's what it means to be a Christian, right? Being a Christian is a follower of Jesus. When we're a Christian, we're saying that is the person we want to be like. That's the person we want to follow. We want to know most deeply Jesus. And he says that one of the important ways that relationship looks for you and for me, just the same as those disciples in that upper room at that Last Supper, one of the primary ways that relationship looks is like friends. He says, we're no longer servant and master. We're no longer student and teacher. We're friends, he says. So it's important to think about the role friends have in our life, the kind of friend we think we are or others think we are, because I believe that's going to color and influence the way we understand our relationship with Jesus, what it means to follow Jesus. It's part of why he says we're friends. Now, I know he says other things. We're brothers and sisters and we're family and a lot of other things, but here we're talking about friends. And I learned this week that Aristotle explained that there were three kinds of friends, generally speaking, and Christians have kind of taken this up in relation to this passage. Christian writers have. Aristotle said there are the friends that we have because we get something good out of it. You know the friendships we mean. The people we're friends with because they help get us maybe business contacts. Or the friendship we have because it's the person who has the season tickets to the football games. Or something like that. We have those friendships, those relationships that we have because we get something out of it. Aristotle says there's another kind of friendships that we have that are sheerly for the pleasure of it. Right? Maybe it's the people we play bridge with, or that we sit and have a cocktail with, or we go on a trip with every year, or something like that, where we just enjoy their company. And that's a good thing. But maybe not the friends that we call when we were in a little crisis or struggle. And then Aristotle says there are the friendships that we have where the friendship itself is the good. Those friends that we have where the friendship is intrinsically valuable. Not because we get something out of it. Not just because it makes us happy, but it's good in and of itself. Most of us know those kinds of friendships, I think. You know those friends that you have who basically do know everything about you. The ones who would immediately come to your defense if you were in danger, but also the ones who would call you on it if you're about to do something stupid. Right? You know those friends who would say, please don't do that. You're making a mistake. The ones who will tell you the truth. And the ones who will help you be your very best. You know those kinds of friendships, right? The ones who you would call when things weren't going so well. The ones when you're feeling just down and despondent, you don't necessarily even need to talk. You just want them around. They can't fix it, but their presence matters. It strengthens us, right? You know those kinds of friendships. So Christian writers, when they take this sort of framework of Aristotle, say that third kind of friendship is what Jesus means. Now, how often do we treat our friendship or relationship with Jesus like the first kind of friendship? It's about what we get out of it. I'll be friends with Jesus as long as Jesus can keep me safe and help me be prosperous. Then Jesus and I are good. Or the people who say, well, it's just not feeling fun anymore. I'm kind of down and I'm leaving. I don't need this anymore. If it's not fun, I'm not doing it. And so often we miss so much of what Jesus means when he calls us as his disciples friends. He means that third kind of friendship. It's good in and of itself. Our relationship with Jesus is that kind of friendship in which we know we're vastly better off for having it than if we didn't. The kind of friendship in which we're so wrapped up that we actually know a lot of our identity because of that relationship. Our friendship with Jesus is the kind where Jesus will defend us and protect us when we're in danger, but also call us on our stuff when we do something stupid. The kind of friendship, the person who knows everything about us and says, doesn't matter. The kind of friendship where when we're down or feeling despondent or feeling completely disconnected from everyone else, will be the one who's just there with us. Maybe can't fix everything, but is right there with us, even in the hardest of moments. So it's worth considering today as we read this gospel, as we look back in the light of the resurrection at the story of Jesus with his disciples in the room, in the upper room, at the Last Supper, where he looks at them and he essentially looks at us today and says, I call you friends. To think about how we understand friends in our life. It's worth our making sure that we don't treat our relationship with Jesus just as one of those friendships that's there because we get something good out of it, or just one that's there, the fair weather friend that we'll pay attention to when we're in a good mood and want to be happy, but that we understand our relationship with Jesus as that intrinsically good, deep, abiding, always with us in our heart and soul kinds of friendships. It's such a beautiful, gifted part of being a follower of Jesus. And so today, we get a chance to look at that. To look at how we understand friendship and maybe expand it and deepen it a little bit. To know and to invite the reality that Jesus is a true friend and probably the best kind of friend we could ever ask for or imagine.